Thank you very much, everyone, Sakya Friends, and all the network of volunteer translators. Yes, so everything is going very well. I will just go through your questions slowly. I will read your questions slowly and then answer them. So that is, we have first hour at our disposal. First question here is, will the Lung of the Heart Sutra also work for someone who wants to receive it through the recorded video? Can we receive Lung, the oral transmission of a mantra or sadhana, by watching the recording on YouTube? Anyway, even on Zoom live stream, we receive the picture and sound with Zoom delay. Well, this question is very much answered by when His Holiness Dalai Lama first announced that he will give teachings and empowerment on Zoom, online. Then he dealt with that, saying that even when people come to attend empowerment and Lung in person, the question is not so much whether they receive because they are there or not. Question is how receptive the individuals themselves are from their motivation, devotion, pure perception, and right intention. So having said that, it makes me to think that that when you wanted to receive the Lung or something like that from recorded videos, of course, general kind of oral transmission, you can hear it, but usually people do not regard that as a receiving Lung because it's not live. So if it's a live, I think the question is whether it's live or whether it's recorded. So because the recorded is not live, it may not have the same connotation of what live is. But otherwise, we can learn knowledge from recorded teachings, and we can listen it as much as we are in person. Sometimes even better because we can re-listen it again and again and transcribe them, and lots of people learn many of the teachings I have given more by transcribing and listening again and again. They actually learn much more than the teaching they attended in person. So this makes me to think that it's all due to one's own intention and devotion, motivation. If one were to play a video and then receive the Lung and transmission as it was really as in person, I think you will receive. I remember a beautiful sight I enjoyed just before my mother passed away. And by that time, they had a TV. This is in early 2000. And then she was a little bit elderly and she didn't know very much where she was and so on. As soon as we turned on His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching on YouTube, on the TV, she straight away got up and she, oh, His Holiness has arrived. And she went and prostrate as he was really, and she was surprised we were treating it very casually. And then she prostrated, even she was in the late 80s, very, very weak, but she prostrated, she sat there throughout the whole time that we played the video as it was real. You could see she was receiving it 100% as he was there in the room. So this makes me believe that anyone who were to receive with pure devotion, with like that, even the teacher giving the transmission long time pass away or don't exist anymore, even you can receive. But even those people who are right in front of the living teacher who give the transmission, who knows whether people receive or not, unless they themselves have this good intent. Even then, we can say, I received it, but did I, So I would say, yes, you will receive, but Lord depends to your motivation and pure perception. So I hope that answers your first question. Second question is, what is the story of how you receive the perfection of wisdom and Prajnaparamita teachings to which Heart Sutra belongs? Please tell how you met Kunu Lama Rinpoche. Thank you very much for this very nice question, because this brings me back to my memory of meeting Kunu Lama Rinpoche in 1975. Only a few months before, maybe just less than a year before he passed away, he visited Lumbini Monastery, Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha, where I was living. And then he came and asked to rent a room to stay in. And most of us didn't know who he was, because he wasn't even wearing a kind of formal or traditional robe. And he was traveling with a companion, a lady, and we didn't know who he was. Later on, then the lady told us that his name is Kunu Rinpoche. When we told that to his soul and my teacher, then he was so happy that Kunu Rinpoche arrived at the door. He said, of course, offer him the best room. And so he arrived, and then Chogye Trikchen Rinpoche received Kunu Rinpoche with honor. They have known each other many years ago in Dharamsala, so they were very happy to see each other. And then Chogye Trikchen Rinpoche quickly engaged in deep conversation with him. And then Kunu Rinpoche came mainly as a pilgrim, but he wasn't expected to be requested to give teachings, particularly to Chogye Trikchen Rinpoche. So when Chogye Trikchen Rinpoche and he chatted for a while, then requested teachings. Then among the teachings he gave two teachings. One is the stages of meditation on perfection of wisdom, a very special work that Rongten, the founder of Nalanda Monastery in Tibet, has composed. And then Kunu Rinpoche agreed to give that, and then we received it. Now there was only one book text. There was no second book copy, and we received the oral teaching, not oral transmission only, but teaching on the perfection of wisdom text. Then he also gave a special Lamde teaching to His Eminence Chogye Trikchen. So we are only about, there's 12 of us monks there who sat in with every teaching he gave. But that was in 1975, and I was so mesmerized by the unique accent that Kunu Rinpoche, as a Kanauri, somewhere in the Indian Himalayan ranges, have a very heavy accent, but very pure scholarly Tibetan presentation he gave. So I have received that teaching, and then I have also translated that stages of meditation on perfection and wisdom. So that is the story, how I received the perfection of wisdom directly from Kunu Rinpoche, when he gave to Chogye Trikchen Rinpoche in Lumbini in 1975. So that's a very happy memory. Thank you. The third question is, please explain in detail how to visualize the three sattvas, Jnana Sattva, Samaya Sattva, and Samadhi Sattva in Prajnaparamita sadhana. Now, this is a question very much to do with all Vajrayana sadhana practitioners. The three-tiered sattvas, three-tiered sattvas are known as Samaya Sattva, which means symbolic being, that is the meditator himself in the form of Prajnaparamita. So that's the Samaya Sattva. Then the seed syllable, whatever the seed syllable is, like in this case, seed syllable Om, that one visualizes at the heart, is Jnana Sattva, the wisdom being. And so the wisdom being, yeah. And then within the heart chakra, within the heart, on a lotus and moon disc, is the white syllable Om, and then Om has at the seed syllable Om has this small droplet, and droplet has a tail. That very droplet is the Samadhi Sattva. That's the concentration being. So that's what we must meditate on the deity's Samadhi. So these three, Samaya, Jnana, and Samadhi, which means symbolic and wisdom and concentration. These three, whenever you visualize any deity yoga, yeah, what the deity is the Samaya Sattva, and the seed symbol is the Jnana Sattva, and then the droplet, the bindu, tigle, and the tail is the Samadhi Sattva. These three tiers sattvas, Semba Sumtsik, we call in Tibetan language, symbolize the three kayas. The first one, Samaya Sattva, represent Nirmana Kaya, and then Jnana Sattva represent the Sambhoga Kaya, and then Samadhi Sattva represent the Dharma Kaya. So this is a very profound form of meditation. Ordinary people always think of being the deity, external deity, Samadhi Sattva. But Samadhi Sattva is secondary if you don't visualize the Jnana Sattva. Samadhi Sattva is like the body, and the Jnana Sattva is like the consciousness, you know. And the Samayas and the Samadhi Sattva is the wisdom air of it. So that's why these three sattvas is not only to do with the Prajnaparamita sadhana, in which it mentions, but all other deity yoga sadhanas have this. Those who visualize any deity, like any deity, the deity itself is the Samaya Sattva. Then the wisdom being in the form of seed syllable is the Jnana Sattva. And then the droplet of whatever seed syllable. If it's a Tara, it's Tam. And then the droplet, the tigle, and the tail on top is the Samadhi Sattva. So these are very, very profound meditation of the three kayas in the form of three symbolic things, like the deity, the seed syllable, and the droplet, respectively symbolize the three sattvas. So thank you. That's a really good question, and I'm glad to answer that. Usually there's not much teaching and mention about that unless you receive really detailed sadhana teaching. There is no such thing. But people supposed to know this. And then next question, number 4. When did you meet your first guru? Please tell us the story of the deepest devotion you felt in his life towards your guru, your root guru. How did you meet with your main gurus, and how they influenced you? Did you have gurus who are not Tibetans? What did you learn from them? From what countries did you have your gurus? Well, of course, when I was barely 11 years old, I think, I was first ordained by Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche, but I didn't really know very much then. His Eminence Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche and his predecessors has been generation followed by people from our family and our forefathers. So when we escaped into Nepal in 1960s, my parents has been waiting to see him. But His Eminence was in India and we were in refugee camp in Nepal. But in 1967, then His Eminence Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche was passing through on his way to Mustang. He stopped one night in the village I was living, and then next morning he ordained 4 boys as his monks, and we were attending local high school, and so that is the first time I met. And Rinpoche gave me the name Thupten Choedak, and the others also got name, and he gave me one brand new Nepalese rupee. And then I rushed very happily and gave that to my mother, and she said, "Oh, very special. This Lama is the same one who gave you the name to your current name when you were in my womb." So she said, "Oh," she sort of rolled her eyes like this and indicated me something deep spiritual. So I believe that is my first encounter and a meeting, because I can't recall when I was in his womb. The deepest devotion I felt was when I was in 3-year retreat. And I was feeling so happy that I could do this retreat after so many years studying with him. You know, I will have been with him nearly 6 years, and then he selected me among other 4 monks to do the retreat, and we were doing all the preliminaries, particularly the Vajrasattva and so on. During the Guru Yoga, his Chogyal Rinpoche was far away traveling. We missed him, but we were doing calling the Guru from afar, you know. And so those days, my devotion and my feeling that those days was a almost highlight of a retreat. So deepest Guru devotion was felt in my retreat. And most of my root gurus are the current Sakya lineage masters. His Eminence Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche, of course, is my root guru. And then, of course, His Holiness Sakya Kongma Trichin Rinpoche. I received 6 or 5 lamdres from him. And Luden Khenchen Rinpoche, I received lamdre once. And then, of course, I spent 12 years with His Eminence Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche. This is prior to before Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche, whose photo you saw, became His Holiness Dalai Lama's teacher. In the mid-80s, that was after I have moved to the West already, His Holiness Dalai Lama sent his monk and requested Chogyal Trichin Rinpoche to give lamdre as one of the head of the Tsarpas did the same to the 5th Dalai Lama. So that's how my main root guru has remained that way. Then also I had been fortunate to be ordained as a novice by the 16th Gyalva Karmapa in 1968. And then I have received many teachings, Kala Chakra, empowerment, and so forth from His Holiness Dalai Lama, starting in 1975. So I do not have any. I mean, Kunu Rinpoche is a technically an Indian nationality, I didn't have any other teachers from other nationalities, but of course, I had my other educational teachers, not the spiritual gurus, but with Tibetan regard, even teachers who teach us ordinary subject, we also respect them amazingly, guru. Like, so I have many Nepalese and some Indian teachers who taught us in high schools, so on. So those are my teachers, but actually I have all sentient beings are my teachers. Some teach me technically, others teach me to practice the techniques that I learned from others. Okay, question number 5. Is the single letter R meditation a type of Dzogchen meditation, or is it a Vajrayana meditation? How does the letter R relate to the R from Oma Ah Hung syllables? Well, the Dzogchen is a called Mahasandhi, but you don't hear much about Mahasandhi in the original Buddhist literature. So it is probably more like a Indian Mahasiddhas giving these teachings through that early Tibetan Dzogchen masters. But single R letter predates all deity yogas, let alone Dzogchen and concept of Mahamudra. Single R letter is mentioned in the Manjushri Nama Sangita as that R is the supreme among all syllables. So single R letter meditation is the most, I would say, earliest form of meditation on emptiness. So R in Sanskrit is the initial of no. Anitya is not permanent. Anatma means no self. Anutpana means unproduced, and so on. So and in Heart Sutra there is nearly about 36 R's. Means no nose, no ears, no this, no that, all this. These all perfection of wisdom literature is dotted with R. If there is 36 R's in Heart Sutra, there will be 8,000 R's in the 8,000 verses of perfection wisdom called Ashta Sahasika. Same way that 4-volume perfection wisdom text called 25,000 verses, there would be no less than 25,000 R's in there. Likewise, 12-volume perfection wisdom text, there will be no less than 100,000 R's. So R, supreme R letter predates, of course, Dzogchen. It's not related to Dzogchen. Dzogchen people may have taught subsequently about that, which is completely okay. But R, supreme R letter, is the earliest of earliest. Before any words are spoken, the R is the unspoken word of all words. So R is the audible sound of emptiness. But when we say no form, no feelings, arupa, avedana, asanskara, and so R is prefixed to all of those things. So R predates everything. Before you learn any language, even before you learn to call anybody, but you still said, ah, when you were born. When you were first delivered from mother's womb, I'm sure the baby would have made some not so relaxing sound, poor baby coming out because ah, or something like that. The ah is the original sound of all utterances. So ah is the very profound. It definitely is related with the Om Ah Hung, because Om Ah Hung. The Om is the seed syllable of body, white color. Ah is seed syllable of speech, red color, and Hung is seed syllable of mind. This is seed syllable of mind. So Om represent Kaya Vajra, which is Vairocana Buddha. That's why Om is white color. A is seed syllable of Vaka Vajra. That's means adamantine voice or speech of all the enlightenment, who represent Amitabha. And Hung represent, blue Hung represent Akshobhya, who represent the Chitta Vajra. So Om, Ah, Hung. But when we say the Ah in Om Ah Hung, that Ah has the what we call Ah with the Viswarga, with the two dot and a small letter Ah underneath. Other than the scribal convention, the actual Ah is the same meaning. Same meaning. So there is an obvious relationship between that. So that'll do. Now the question number 6 is essential illumination, the sadhana of Mother White Prajnaparamita. Question 1. Do we visualize a front visualization while reciting mantra, or do we only focus on rotating garland? We will be actually able to do the sadhana of the White Prajnaparamita tonight, independent of the R meditation. So you will be able to do that. But yes, there is no front visualization. You just visualize the mantra rotating in your heart chakra. So that's that. So that's a short answer. Second question: what else do we meditate on while reciting the mantra? Well, main thing, as it says in the mantra, it says, rays of pearl-like garland shines from your heart chakra, and this therefore goes out through your navel and then enters through one's mouth, and then reabsorbs and dissolves inseparably in Om in your heart chakra, and this therefore spins. And the radiation of light, this like a firebrand, dispel all the darkness in the world, in yourself. So therefore you are visualizing yourself as the goddess Prajnaparamita, and the light shining pearl garland is dispelling all the darkness, all the confusion, all the misunderstanding between two people, between community, between groups. And so with this in mind, you need to stay in deep, compassionate mind, as if you are sending light to dispel darkness and show people how to do it. So that verse, that paragraph before the mantra recitation is very explicit. So we will be able to do that a little later. Okay, so that's that question. Third question: do we imagine a front visualization or a visualization above our head as we request? That request is where does that request occur? let me check the text. Prajnaparamita, that's the question. Do we imagine the French visualization or a visualization by Blessed Mother? Please bestow light of transcendental wisdom upon us all. Oh yeah, good question. That one is after you finish recitation mantra. This request is made to yours on top of your crown. All Vajrayana sadhanas, you yourself as a deity has on top of you another small thumb size a resemblance of Prajnaparamita into your heart. When you finish recitation mantra, you are requesting that to, not the front generated one, you don't have front, one who's the Lord of the family, who is on top of your crown. So that's the request you are supplicating to. Okay. So question number 4 under that title. After the request, is Prajnaparamita dissolve into light and then merging into our 3 places, or what is the visualization here? Yeah, when it says here, visualize that one's 3 places are marked by the diamond letters Om, Ah, Hum. So this is because this is a short sadhana, it does not explicitly say that you dissolve into emptiness. But you can always think of yourself after a practice like this, you dissolve into emptiness and after the request, and then again, you reappear as post-meditational goddess Prajnaparamita yourself, and then bless your forehead, throat, and heart with Kaya Vajra representing white syllable Om at the forehead, Vaka Vajra representing red syllable A at your throat, and Chitta Vajra representing blue syllable Hum in your heart. What does it mean is it seals your forehead so that you do not see any ordinary things as ordinary, but they see them as a manifestation of Goddess Prajnaparamita. And you don't hear any language or sound made by others, either pleasant or unpleasant. You don't dualistically get too much caught. Hear them as all sound of emptiness. And that blue syllable Hung in your heart is so that you can see all thoughts, feelings, opinions as emptiness. So it is for the purpose of that, all Vajrayana sadhana practitioners, when they finish the sadhana, it's not just Prajnaparamita, whether you do Avalokiteshvara or Tara, whatever elaborate visual dissolution visualization there is, or there is no explicitly mentioned how to dissolve. You dissolve into emptiness for a while, then you reappear and then adorn your forehead with Om, throat with Ah, and heart with Hung, and then do the dedication merits. So the idea is that you do, as you finish your sadhana, and then as you engage in the normal worldly activities, you should not act like a prisoner who have released from prison and then act normally. You should still maintain the post-meditational pure perception of seeing all forms as deities manifestation. Oh, that's a not just Kaya Vajra, but Nirmana Kaya. And here all sound as emptiness, but enjoy them as emptiness, therefore Sambhogakaya. And all thoughts that you have about things are all illusion, but nevertheless they are manifesting, so they are all Dharmakaya. So those three sattvas we were talking before in the earlier question, those 3 tiered sattvas, Samadhi sattva and Jnana sattva and Samadhi sattva, are all relevant to bring what they call in high Anuttara yoga practice, bring the three kayas into everyday life, so that the birth, death, and bardo experiences that we have, like every day to the experience we have is birth. Every day to experience this nirmana kaya, and then when we go to sleep, it is death, dharmakaya. When we have a dream after death, dream after sleep is a sambhogakaya. So all these three syllables, om, hung, plus three kayas, to bring ourselves to transform the discrepancy that we create between birth, death, and bardo as not some hallucinatory experiences, but they're all mental imagination. And therefore, all the three kayas are intersected and interplay. So that's a very significant meaning of the Om Ahung. I'm glad your questions are really, really good. I don't know how good my answers are. Thank you. Then the seventh question is, when settling the mind by reciting Ah in different ways, should we visualize the letter Ah in front of us? If so, what color should it be? Are there rainbow lights around it? No. When we are settling the mind by reciting Ah, either mentally or whisperily or gutturally with a closed mouth but making sound in the throat, or verbally, whichever way you recite, there's no need for you to visualize the visual Ah. You just focus your mind lustrously, lucidly on the sound Ah, and then try to rest at ease without trying to visualize anything. But there is one instruction which says that you can recite the Ah, and then imagine that when you said Ah, you eject your consciousness from the throat chakra, heart to the throat to the crown, and then you visualize a single Ah on top of your crown. Then that Ah is ejected into the space. Then every thing in the phenomena universe will all become covered and inundated by countless Ahs. So for that, you visualize white Ahs. Everything is odd, basically. Everything is not anything. For that, you can visualize the Ah. But all the other different ways of doing the Ah meditation, there is no suggestion to visualize Ah in any particular color. These days, some people colorfully paint the sea silver Ah as white and then covered in rainbow color. Those are, I think, new age stuff coming into Vajrayana. This is just color therapy type of thing. That's nothing to do with the original description of our meditation. Our meditation is to suspend all operative visual auditory consciousness, but simply let the mind rest in this primordial sound. So it's nothing to do with that. Eighth question is, the Lunar New Year of the Rabbit on January 22nd in 2023 is extremely important for the Chinese and the Vietnamese people and all who celebrate the Year of Rabbit. Please guide us what to do in the first 15 days of the new year. What to do with ancestor spirits local gods to bring luck, fortune for the whole year? Ah, thank you for this question. Of course, the rabbit or monkey or whatever the year is named after. We had many difficult years, last 3 years, beleaguered years. So it's good to be able to turn our back to those beleaguered years and to welcome our new year. It has been universal culture in various traditions to wear new clothes, to change attitudes, and to welcome the new and to farewell the old. In many Asian Buddhist cultures, the Lunar New Year is celebrated not just as a new year, culturally speaking, but marking the celebration of the 15 days that Shakyamuni Buddha displayed miracles at the behest of 15 different Indian kings. Because Buddha was not showing off his miraculous powers to lure or attract disciples, as many of his other Indian religious teachers were doing at the time. So the kings requested the Buddha to show some miracles because ordinary people are running away to teachers or some spiritual leaders who can show miracles, even though the Buddha's teaching is the most profound and most vast and amazing teaching, but the majority of people are not heeding to the teaching, but attracted to the other kind of pseudo-spiritual masters showing some superficial or some miracles. Buddha first refused to show the miracles. Then later, because he was requested and also to protect some from losing to the wrong way, then Buddha showed miracles for 15 days. Each of the 15 days has one king on whose behalf Buddha did 15 specific things. So in most, I don't know whether all the Asian Buddhist countries celebrate commemorating that or not, but definitely in Chinese and the Tibetan and Vietnamese Mahayana Buddhists seem to be celebrating that with great eagerness. During those months, during those first 2 weeks of the month, they do many, many special prayers, and they wanted to bless each other with kindness and compassion and generosity, and try to turn over the year that has went, and then welcome the year by doing long life prayers or doing various pujas, practices. All the traditionally big Molam prayers in Tibet was held during those 15 days. So it is very auspicious. So that's why I have been asked to give the goddess Saraswati. Goddess Saraswati is also one of the retreats I did for study and then increase the knowledge. Not that I have knowledge, but anyway, so Goddess Saraswati is goddess of art, music, performance, beauty, and melody. Music can change people's life. You know, if you can play the Dharma music, the truth of the Dharma, you can be Saraswati without being a girl. So if all these people are listening to Dharma, it's not because who I am or what gender I am, but because the soothing, melodious sound and music of Dharma is the music of all musics. It can console the troubled mind and confused mind and lift the spirit when they hear the immortal music of the Dharma. So therefore, I thought it would be very auspicious to give the Goddess Saraswati empowerment to greet the rapid year. So that's that. We have one more question here, which seems, why did you choose to give Saraswati empowerment for Lunar New Year? From whom did you receive this empowerment? What Saraswati as the deity is known for? What would be the samaya of Saraswati empowerment? I think I have partly answered that question by not knowing this is the last question. Yeah, the reason we chose that is so that the world has been always hearing this, bad news of tragedies, of war, of famine, of drought, of natural disasters, of man-made disasters, of a fear of nuclear war, and fear of all the superpowers resorting to aggression and things towards each other. And so people are, every single news you listen to, even in local newspaper you read, all full of bad news. So we want to change this when this new year turns, so that all of those years are turned, that we can play a new kind of tone of language. And if people can hear Dharma and learn the precious teachings of Buddha through the amazing array of avenues of spreading the Dharma through Zoom and online platforms, then the so-called divine drum of Dharma beaten in the Deva realms is now made audible to everywhere. So if we can all play the 6 or stringed or 20 stringed guitar of the Dharma, which says that that loving kindness is the highest religion, that compassion is the gist of all. The bodhicitta is the butter that comes from the churning of the milk of the Dharma. All things are impermanent. Think of that. You are blessed already. Things do not seem to be changing. You already will change. When you know everything is impermanent, you will not have the same attachment or views or opinions as you have. When you know how to do that, you have heard the music of the Dharma. You have actually heeded to the music. Many people listen to music, remember the lyrics of the music, and remember the singer's face, even imitate their jacket, wear them, tap their feet, and then they forget all the sorrows and samsara troubles when they're doing that sometimes, or particularly on Friday nights. Well, we don't have to wait Friday night. We can do that every day. When you are switching your mind to the melody of the Dharma. So Goddess Saraswati. Swara means melody. Swati means melodious. So the word deus is the adjectival suffix. Swara means actually voice. So it means she who has got a perfect voice. What is a perfect voice? The Dharma. They are. So it's all related, No wonder why we're choosing and all of you, if you practice right speech, if you speak with kindness, if you speak with respect, forgiveness and understanding and tolerance of music, this will be the best music you can play. even you can play piano, even you can play, various musical instruments, they are still ordinary instruments. But if you can really speak with kindness and forgiveness and tolerance and compassion, even when you die, you will not die of poor me mentality, but you will die with gratitude. Only a few weeks ago, when I saw the letter written by His Eminence late Luding Khenchen Rinpoche, he wrote that only 4 or 5 days before he passed away. Then he sent the letter to everywhere, asking them to thank each other and asking him, making himself to thank them for all the great service and faith and devotion with which they have supported and held their faith in our leaders and the teachings of the Buddha. And he asked them always do the same in the future. As soon as I read the letter, you know what happened? I said, this is a parting testament. This is a will. It's not an ordinary letter. They don't come out of nowhere. The timing of it and the tone of it, I said to myself that this is a will and testament of His Eminence. You know what? And then 5 days later, I heard he have passed away. So this kind of music of truth and wisdom that His Holy Eminence Luding Khenchen Rinpoche has written such thing as a very obvious awareness when he's going to pass away and so on. So therefore, that is my answer to your question. Is there some more questions here in the chat box? If there are, please can the Chinese translator ask these questions? If they can translate in English, FZ582. And then anonymous attendee in Vietnamese, please can you send us the sadhana? So that's another question. So there's a lot of questions in here, but I cannot answer. We probably have nearly run out of time as well. So what do you think, Seva and Oleg? Is anybody can translate some of the questions to allow a few more minutes?
Excuse me, Rinpoche.
Yeah.
Okay. If I may, I will translate some of the Chinese questions. I'll read it out. Let me roll down. First, about the Saraswati empowerment, they are interested in finding out what the commitments are, or actually the 14 vows should be upheld.
Oh, the Saraswati empowerment can be mainly received as a blessing, but then Saraswati has also short sadhana. So people are mostly recommended to do the mantra or the Saraswati prayer if they have a special calling to do. People who wanted to advance their lives journey through arts, performance, writing, public performances, public speaking, for them, this goddess Saraswati is the deity yoga they must practice. So there is no really big burden of commitment as such. And I just reminded me by your question about the Saraswati empowerment lineage. Saraswati empowerment I have received from both His Holiness Sakya Kongma teaching and His Eminence Chogyam teaching. when His Holiness Sakya Tenzin gave the collection of all the sadhanas in Kathmandu Thallam Monastery in the early 1990s, as well as I have received the same empowerment before from Chogyam Teaching Rinpoche when I was very young. So I'm sure I have been receiving some blessings, and so people can do the sadhana practices if that's highly recommended, but there's no big heavy commitment. But as I said, it is very, very relevant for people who wanted to achieve certain mundane but very important things they wish to achieve in life as an artist, as an author, as a public speaker, as a leader. So the Saraswati has a special kind of a boon or siddhi to achieve those attainment, they call, because all the deities are two types. Chokdrubela and Ledrubela in Tibetan. Chokdrubela means deities to achieve supreme enlightenment, and Ledrubela is the deities to achieve activities. Most of the Tibetan Buddhists are resorting to the latter, even though the cream of practitioners would seek to attain the first, to attain perfect enlightenment. But before you attain perfect enlightenment, you need to have certain meritorious things happening in your ordinary, everyday to day life. So therefore, if you want to do language, if you want to do art, it says, the Asanga's Mahayana Sutra Alankara says that one should master all 5 fields of studies. Then study has a certain deities. Manjushri, Saraswati are the well-known deity, educational learning deities. So Goddess Saraswati has a special blessings. It's not a commitment, not a burden, but it is a recommendation for people to take up the sadhana. It's not very long sadhana, it's only just 1 page sadhana. So it's not very long. But if people can keep doing the recitation and do this retreat, little bit of retreat, you would definitely feel the special shift happening as a result of being able to do the practice. Any more questions there? If any of the translates,
if
please
time
go.
permits, there are a couple more Chinese questions. If we have time today, there are 2 questions regarding the recitation of Vajrasattva that we promised to do. First, can we use, if we belong to other lineage, can we use the same mantra to fulfill the commitment that we received today? And the second question related will be, can we not using the sadhana and just self-visualize as the Vajrasattva and say the mantra 21 times?
Yes, it doesn't matter what lineages you belong to. The Vajrasattva has no lineages, but each of the different lineages has slightly different ways of putting, and Vajrasattva mantra has few different kinds. There are Padmasattva Samaya, Ratnasattva Samaya, Vajrasattva Samaya. There are various 5 or 6 different various mantras. They have nothing to do with lineages. They're to do with which Buddha family orientated recitation of the Vajrasattva mantra is. So there is no discrimination from which lineage you belong to, because all come from Buddha lineage. Even if you think that different lineages have different names like Sakya, Nyingma, Kagyu, Gelo, there's no difference. In the end, there's no difference in the Vajrasattva mantra. Even though the wordings are slightly different, you just stick with it. But you have to do this particular one, if you want to do, you should do the Vajrasattva on top of your crown according to the sadhana. Then, having said that, there is also meditation technique of Vajrasattva where you become yourself Vajrasattva and do the mantra recitation. So you can do any form, whichever allows you according to what liturgy and rituals you may perform accordingly. There is no differences. But then you can also use the, I mentioned it previously, you can also recite the Vajrasattva mantra, informally at other times. In terms of fearful things comes, you straight away say Om Vajrasattva Hum. Always think of tiny Vajrasattva on top of him and try to mind your speech, mind your thought. Or you can instantly, when you go in the shower, you can take the shower and then wash under the shower, not just ordinary bathing your bodily wash dirt, but as if you're washing your negative karma and afflictions together with the mantra recitation. So treat the kind of shower that water as a nectar pouring into you, so they're washing away. So you can definitely use Vajrasattva a number of different ways. There is no rigid, strict rules that you can do one this way and not the other ways. Lots of Tibetans, you will see, they're reciting Vajrasattva mantra while doing circumambulation. I know one Tibetan lady, before even I knew the mantra, she was doing prostration, full-length prostration. And she's always doing Vajra. I remember her reciting, ha ha ha, oh. We used to laugh because she used to do it so loud. What she's doing prostration. She's doing full-length prostration while reciting the 100 syllable mantras. So there are many ways that you can do the Vajrasattva practice without any discrimination of lineages, schools, or tradition. This came straight from Vajrasattva himself. Vajrasattva is primordial Buddha. Primordial Buddha is the Adi Buddha of the 5 other Buddhas: Vairochana, Akshobhya, Ratnasambhava, Amitabha, Amoghasiddhi, 5 Buddhas. And Vajrasattva is Supreme Lord of all the Vajras, all the 5 Buddhas. So Vajrasattva has no Sakya, Kagyu, Gelug, Nyingma differences, okay? These are all came from the Buddhist Tantra, which predates all Tibetan lineages. However, they package and talk about their lineages about this. This is a very Tibetan thing. But now we are not in Tibet. Now we are international. We are whole globalization of Buddhism. So we need to go beyond the Sakyaness or Kagyuness or Nyingmaness or Gelugness of them. Because these lineages are some small groups in Tibet. Now the Dharma is shining bright, white everywhere. So we should not be so focused in a lineage-centric mind. It is time to go beyond that, and you should rejoice of whoever the lineage masters, teacher you have received from, but try to go a little bit earlier than that. Like say, if you received the empowerment from Gelugpa, Gelugpa is only a 15th century Tibetan lineage. Where did they come from? From the other previous lineages that came before Gelugpa, like the Sakyas, like the Kagyu. They received most of the Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching come directly from them, the historical lineage anyway. And the same goes with Sakya. Sakyapa teachers give empowerments and so on. There's nothing Sakya about it. You receive it. Sakya masters went to India and they received from Indian masters. So it's not, they should give the name after the Indian master. Why they didn't? Like they talk about 6 yogas and Naropa. Why they don't talk about 6 yogas and Tilopa? Because Tilopa predates Naropa. Why it is got very famous of Naropa? Because Naropa is a very famous in Tibet. And then Marpa accredited to Naropa. But otherwise, the practice of 6 yoga Naropa predates Naropa. I don't know what, when Naropa practiced, I don't think he practices the 6 yogas of Naropa. So we must go beyond these conventions and names and try to universalize this. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama teaches us that we should work in one world, one humanity, one Buddha lineage. That's what he's really promoting. So it's good that you have karmic connection with lineages, mantra slightly variations, pronunciation differences. You know, I'm sure the if the Mongolians has had Vajrayana from the 13th century, remember? You know, and they already do that in their language. When they recite the mantra, they would have their own pronunciation. So there are different pronunciation, slight different ways of different things by different Tibetan regions, but these things should not make you worry about overall purpose of the deity in question.
Mm-hmm. Two last questions, Rinpoche.
Okay.
The first question is how, when I suppose what it means is when Vajrasattva enters our body as a form of light, which fills our whole body, then how do we dissolve and how do we merge into Dharmadhatu? This is the first question. The second question is, people are interested in joining the group practice later on, but they do not have the Prajnaparamita empowerment, and they join. So these are the questions.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, first question about the dissolution of Vajrasattva, because until the Vajrasattva dissolved into emptiness, you had Vajrasattva on top of your head, you as. Now, after you have gone through all the specific visualization one after another, you are almost same as a Vajrasattva. You have no affliction, no sickness. You're like a balloon of light. Then when the Vajrasattva dissolve, it also dissolve into you, and you simultaneously vanish together with Vajrasattva, and you both simultaneously vanish, and therefore you now rest in that uncontrived and unfabricated Dharmadhatu, which is the ultimate Vajrasattva. There is no meditator, that is you. There is no Vajrasattva on which you're meditating on. And there is no act of meditating. There simply is indescribable, unthinkable, ineffable, uncontrived. Let the mind simply be. So that's Dharmadhatu. And those people who did not receive the goddess Prajnaparamita empowerment, but can join the practice, no problem. I will quickly, during the break, find that Tibetan text and give a short reading transmission of the sadhana, and that will be fine, no problem. They can join. Thank you very much, everyone, for all of your wonderful questions, and thank you for the translators, particularly the gentleman who translated the Chinese questions. Thank you very much. So we'll have a short 15-minute break. After that, we will resume and do the short sadhana of white Prajnaparamita, and because we gave the empowerment, and then we do the actual single-hour meditation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, dear Rinpoche, for your inspiring answers to our questions. Also, I want to say many thanks for your so hard work for today because you have already gave us today, first it was empowerment, then teachings, now it's Q&A sessions, and soon you will lead us in online practice. We are very grateful for your kindness to us. You often join Zoom from different places. May I ask, could you please tell where you are now?
I am nowhere and I'm no one. I'm physically in Sydney, but my background that you see is my center. In Australia, I have 2 retreat centers, 2 rural residential retreat centers. This is called SIBA, Sakya International Buddhist Academy. It's situated in country Victoria. It is situated and has 108-acre land. And this retreat center we acquired 16 years ago. And so I am going there in next week, not end of next week, early next week, early the week after that, on the 25th, I'm going down there to lead a 5-day White Tara residential retreat. So because I'm visiting Sydney, I'm staying at a Dharma brother's house. So I'm using this as a background, but I'm physically in Sydney. Tomorrow I'm attending this puja in honor of His Eminence Luding Khenchen Rinpoche, who passed away. And so all the monks and practitioners in Sydney are organizing. So and so I'm very happy to join them tomorrow. So that's why I am supposedly in Sydney, but where I am is not called Sydney. Where I am is not Sydney. Where I'm in is called Macquarie Park. But when I'm looking at the Macquarie Park, I'm not in Macquarie Park. I'm Herring Street. But when I'm in Herring Street, I'm not on Herring Street. I'm on a particular number of the house. But when I'm in the particular number of house, I'm not in the particular number. I'm in 17th floor. So when I'm in the 17th floor, I'm not in the 17th floor. I'm only in one of the rooms. When I'm in the room of the, I'm not in the room. I'm on the cushion. So when I'm on the cushion, I'm not on the cushion. I'm looking at you. So actually, there is a samadhi sattva, samaya sattva, jnana sattva, all there. It's big, it's small, and nothing. So where am I when I'm nobody?
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. Thank you. So now we will have a 15 minutes break.
Thank you.